Secretary, there's been a great deal of news coverage of the issue about the furniture, the dining room set. Obviously, oversight and proper management of funding is something that we take very seriously in the subcommittee. And as you know, we sent a letter to the GAO and to the HUD Inspector General to look into the alleged systematic misuse of funds dating back to 2008. I appreciate the efforts you initiated last week to reassess the department's internal financial controls, as you mentioned, and I trust your new CFO will lead this task force effectively. Will you please just take a minute to explain to the subcommittee what happened, and also go into, if you can, some of the more specifics about the new financial controls to enhance the department's fiscal strength and integrity?
Well, thank you for that opportunity. First of all, when I assumed the position, I was told that traditionally secretaries redecorate their offices. I came in, I looked at it. You know, I'm not really big into decorating. If it was up to me, my office would probably look like a hospital waiting room. But at any rate, you know, I invited my wife to come in and help me. Downstairs at the sub-basement, we have a bunch of used furniture. We went down, made a couple of changes, had some drapes added, which were down in the basement also, and some blinds for the window. The total cost of renovation, $3,500. A few months later, I was told that the dining room set needed to be changed. I said, why? Because people being stuck by nails, a chair collapsed with somebody sitting in it. It's 50 years old. I said, okay, we can potentially do that. I asked my wife also to help me with that. They showed us some catalogs. The prices were beyond what I wanted to pay. I made it clear that that just didn't seem right to me. And, you know, I left it with my wife. I said, you know, help choose something. But I said, the money that is going to be used, we need to take care of the Deputy Secretary's office. And, you know, whatever's left over, you know, take care of the dining room furniture. It was very important to do that, and I realized that, but I had so many other things to do at that point. You know, I had no assistant secretaries, I had no deputy secretary. You know, I was running from place to place dealing with a lot of important issues, so I really wasn't that concerned about furniture. You know, the next thing that I quite frankly heard about it was that this $31,000 table had been bought. I said, what the heck is that all about? Investigated, immediately had it canceled. Not that we don't need the furniture, but I thought that that was excessive. There were reports that, you know, I said that I had no involvement. I always said what my involvement was in it. You know, it makes for a wonderful story. Carson wants to, you know, take down the budget, but he wants to buy this expensive furniture, but it bears no resemblance to the truth. But we did use that opportunity to say what internal controls allowed this to happen in the first place. Because we've been spending a lot of time looking at what's going on externally. And, you know, there are a lot of issues. And we finally got a CFO in December, and we've been able to address those. But now we've added, you know, things that are closer to home to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
Mr. Secretary, let me pick up on the issue of the furniture, just to clear this up and make certain that we're clear on what has transpired, but also what kind of plans you have going forward. There appears to be some contradiction in the record about your statements to the press, indicating early on that you had no knowledge of this purchase. This is not what you've said today.
I never said that to the press.
Well, your spokesman, HUD spokesman Rafi Williams, this is a CNN report, initially denied the Carsons had any involvement in the dining set selection. Mrs. Carson and the Secretary had no awareness that the table was being purchased, he told CNN last month. And then the same HUD spokesman went further and said, didn't order a new table and so on. A few days later, you personally addressed the issue, saying you were surprised by the price tag, was having the order canceled. And there were other reports having to do with some ambiguity about
I would respectfully
you're taking responsibility.
Yeah, I would respectfully say that I can tell you what I said. I can tell you what I did. I do not intend to be responsible for what anybody else said.
And there's no problem with a much-cited Facebook post either?
The Facebook post is quite accurate.
All right, we'll include that in the record and other materials that will document what I'm talking about, and I take your answer that this is simply not accurate, that you took full responsibility from the beginning.
Absolutely.
All right. Then there's the matter of the failure to notify Congress of the purchase. That, as you know, is required by law. This was only a notification requirement, yet your office was aware of it at the highest levels, apparently, according to some email traffic that we've seen. You didn't do that. And then there's the whistleblower. Whistleblower made the public aware of these issues, was reassigned, she said, demoted. I would ask you to address that. Of course, the best idea might have been to listen to her, but retaliating against staff who are attempting to get high-ranking officials to obey the law is inappropriate and possibly illegal. Now, you have put out a statement announcing new internal controls and management practices. That's a good thing. Of course, these procedures are already in place. That's the inconvenient fact. And as the whistleblower pointed out and the internal emails demonstrate, you and your wife were involved in the selection of the set. Your senior staff knew about the notification requirement. So old procedures, new procedures, all the procedures in the world are not going to help as long as they're not followed. So I do hope you can give us your assurance here this morning that the rules will be followed going forward, that you will make sure this doesn't happen again, and that you will not punish people in your organization who are trying to ensure that the rules are being followed.
Well, first of all, let me just say I don't know who this whistleblower is. You know, all of that's news to me, quite frankly, and I would never be involved in, repercussions to people like that. That's not who I am. I don't believe that that's an appropriate thing to do. As far as, the controls are concerned, I think there are ways that they can be enforced so that you don't ignore them, and those are being put into place. As far as the reporting is concerned, it's my understanding that the facilities people felt that the dining room table was actually dangerous, and it was a facilities issue, not a decorating issue.
And the notification requirement, was there an awareness of that?
I don't think there is a notification requirement for facilities issues as there is with decorating issues.
Well, the internal email traffic does indicate that your staff was aware of the notification requirements. They clearly were not met.
It was never discussed with me, and as I said, I was dealing with running an organization with virtually no secretarial help.
And you are denying that any kind of retaliation occurred against the whistleblower?
Wouldn't even dream of such a thing. That's totally absurd.
All right. Here too, we will furnish to the record the accounts of this, and of course be happy to receive any further response on your part as to how this has been handled.
I do believe in the whistleblower program. I endorse it.
That was my next question. Your testimony is that you believe in the protection of whistleblowers, and you
Absolutely.
intend to act on that.
No question.
Going forward. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.